Thank you all very much for coming today. Before we begin, let us all sit in silent meditation. Place your hands in Pol Pai Jolene, Cosmic Realm Mudra. Please place the tongue on the roof of your mouth. Roll your shoulders back, sit nice and square. Let your arms hang and lightly drape into your lap, right hand, left hand. Tongue on the roof of your mouth, head up. Feel as if your head is floating like a balloon and your waist is sinking like a boat. Fill up your diaphragm, breathing through your nose. Hold and out. Jōshingyo. Meditation to calm the mind, body, and spirit for the chanting of the old Namu. So today we are celebrating the birth of Nichiren Shonin. He was born on February the 16th of 1222 in the village of Kominato. His birth, or the myth of his birth, like many religious leaders, is heralded by a series of events. And it is immaterial whether or not they were actually events that happened, or whether or not they have been added in significance over the last almost 800 years. It is said that when Nichiren Shonin was born, that white lotuses appeared in the froth on the ocean just before the waves broke on the beach. It was also said that in the waves you could see schools of red sea bream, which were considered good luck, swimming close to shore. What is known is that Nichiren was born to a family that were formerly a samurai family, something that he never spoke about. He said that he was the son of a humble fisherman, but his family came from samurai stock. His father was at a time period where he gave up being a samurai and in order to be a fisherman. Nichiren, when he was very young, about 8 years old, expressed to his father that he wanted to become a monk. And at the age of 12, his father acquiesced, and he became the personal attendant of Dozenbo as just a regular layperson. And served him faithfully and was very diligent, and ended up at the age of 15 becoming a monk. After he finished his basic studies at Seishoji Temple, he asked to go and travel Japan and study at all of the different schools. So he went to Kyoto and studied all of the schools in Kyoto, whether it was the Keigan sect, the Flower Garment sect, or the Hosei sect, or the early sects of Nara. He studied Zen, he studied Jodo Shinshu, he studied Shingon, Jodo. He studied every form of Buddhism that he could find, and then finally he requested, after having studied at all of these various temples that are the repositories of knowledge for their sects, asked if he could then go to Mount Hiei, which was sort of the Harvard of the time, and studied there. When he finished his studies, he came to the belief that after having studied for all these years, he felt that he had found the solution. When he was first ordained at Seichoji Temple, which I will be visiting this summer, and I will be taking my ordination in the same exact spot that Nichiren Shonin knelt to take his. And I will also be in front of the same statue of Kakuzo, the Bodhisattva of wisdom, where Nichiren Shonin asks the Bodhisattva of wisdom, Kokuzo, to please make him the wisest man in Japan, so that he could figure out what it was the core teaching of the Buddha. So I too will make my vows in front of Kokuzo, although nowadays I've been told that you get about that long to kneel there, and you better have your wish ready when you get there, because there's about 30 other people waiting to go after you. So I'm very much looking forward to that. I won't go into the specifics of Nichiren Shonin's first sermon. We'll go into that on April the 28th when we talk about on Founders Day. But what I will say is that one of the core teachings of Buddhism is to see that this place right here, right now, is the place of enlightenment. This is the fertile ground that we have our seed of Buddhahood planted in. And it is through our actions every day, and more than our actions, even our thoughts every day, that we water that Buddha seed. But that Buddha seed is a very complex seed. It is a seed that has lots of facets. And it can grow in a lot of different ways. We could water the anger facet and grow that. We could water the compassion facet and grow that. We can water generosity, so on and so forth. But what nurtures it, as far as the nutrients goes, it's our life. It's our actions. It's every person we end up meeting. It's every situation we come into contact with. Whether we perceive it as positive or negative is immaterial. It is the fertile soil. The water, though, that we water that seed with is the cooling water of the Dharma. is the pure teaching of the Buddha that understands that all beings have the infinite capacity for enlightenment. Shakespeare said, all life is a stage, and we are but players. This is a truism that is in Buddhism as well. All life is the fertile field, the fertile ground in which we blossom. And we are all playing various aspects in nurturing each Buddha that we come into contact with, ourselves included. Every day is, if we are quiet and when we sit in meditation, we can realize by hearing all of these things and feeling these perceptions that we are sitting in the midst of a symphony all around us. And we are members of the orchestra. And that if we try to stand out too much, the harmony of the symphony will be off. If we make it too much about our instrument rather than the orchestra as a whole, creating beautiful music and harmony that is not about any one individual player playing well together. There's a really wonderful meme out there that says everything I needed to learn about life I learned from kindergarten. You know, we learned how to share. And we learned how to be nice to each other, take care of your tools and toys and equipment, all of these things. So today, as we celebrate Nichiren Shonen's birth, I think that what we can celebrate, and one of the things that I like to celebrate, is Nichiren Shonen's curiosity, and it's the curiosity of a child that always asks why. It drives you crazy if you're a parent or a grandparent or a teacher. But it is the question that keeps us constantly moving forward, is the question that Buddha asked every day. Why? Mindfulness is how we can listen to the symphony of the universe. By being mindful here now, we can create space to hear and see all of the beautiful music all around us. Taken individually, any situation could feel like a sharp note that is out of tune with the symphony. But if you take it in context of the symphony, that sharp note may harmonize beautifully with the overall composition. So your sharp day, when it seemed like all the notes were off, it might be that perhaps you just weren't seeing the full composition in its entirety. Maybe you were focused a little too much on your own instrument at that point, or your own part in the symphony, rather than how it harmonized with everyone else's parts in that same symphony. And I think in the end, the simplicity of what Nichiren Shonen came to, as far as the practice, because again, we have to bring it back to how can I make this applicable today? For me, is that the practice is very simple. And some people say, well, why do we chant Namu Enkyoji? Yeah, I got that it means I honor, I revere, I take refuge in the Lotus Sutra, wonderful love. What's the It's the one thing in the Lotus Sutra that the Buddha says over and over and over again, that all you have to do is venerate the sutra. Read, write, copy, expound, share the sutra to others. So Nichiren Shonen thought, okay, well the Buddha says this thing over and over and over again in this same sutra. And it says, and in this particular sutra, unlike any of the other sutras, he actually says this will make you a Buddha. Just by reading, writing, revering this sutra. So Nichiren Shonen said, okay. if I take refuge in this sutra, that's what the Buddha tells me to do. And that taking refuge in the sutra is what will help me see Buddhas all around me and help make Buddhas all around me, including this Buddha. So if you think about it, it's really simple. That's why our main practice is chanting, I take refuge in the Lotus Sutra of the Wonderful Law. And it encompasses all of this stuff that we talk about, all of this remembering that life is in flux and suffering is not suffering. It's just life. And it's true suffering is not having this teaching. Not having a teaching that reminds you, hey, you know what? Like this day that I think is so horrible, I might just not be getting the full picture today. And even if my favorite things to say, if I lose my right arm, I'll become the greatest left-handed potter in the world. Because this is my Jesus soul. This is my ultimate reality as it is. This is me accepting this is the Pure Land right here, right now. Whether or not I have 2 arms or 1. It is. Whether I'm rich or I'm poor. Whether I live in a great city or a bad city. Like all of these things are our causes and conditions. Like we don't push them away. We have to start seeing that the world all around us is a beautiful Pure Land. This time period right now, people are so angry with politics and all of these things and forgetting that it is not about politics. It would really upset a lot of my friends. I would say 95% of my friends would be upset to know that every morning I pray for the President of the United States and his all the people that work for him and everyone, every day. Every day. I pray that the President reaches his highest potential, that he becomes a Buddha, that he protects our country and allows everyone in our country to reach their highest potential in the most harmonious and compassionate way possible. Why would I want to do anything less? Why wouldn't I want my country to become a Buddha? Because being angry at the man isn't going to help anything. Not going to make him a Buddha. And I don't know, guys, if you've noticed, but when you tell someone they're wrong, it just makes them dig in their heels even more. So I'm not going to be angry at the man or anyone, because in the end, I realize, oh, this person has the capacity for enlightenment just the same as anyone else. And I support them and I want them, because when we make our prayer, right, the 4 favors that we must repay, one of them is to our sovereign, to our leaders, our parents, our teachers, Buddha. So I would be going against my own faith if I didn't wish for the better nature of everyone. And one thing I have adopted is that I dedicate my merit to the person that I'm most frustrated with every day. I'll be honest, sometimes it's me that's the most frustrating person in my life. So it's like I end up, dedicating to everyone in my But most especially, like if I have something or someone that I'm really frustrated with, like I just dedicate all my merit to them. Because in the end, that's what Nichiren Shonin was doing in this style of Buddhism, is that even though he understood that there were a lot of supposed spiritual leaders out there at the time period espousing the Buddha's way, he saw that they were, in the end, kind of selfish, and the only thing that he could do was to be never despising bodhisattva and say, I shall never despise you because one day you shall become a Buddha. And we do that through saying, Namu, Enkyoji. So today, when we chant, let's lose ourselves in our practice. Let's remember that this week is the best week of your life. It's going to be awesome. You're going to have a fantastic week. Manifest goodness in your life and goodness in those people around you just by having the most positive mind frame as possible. See the Buddha in every being you meet. Every being, especially the ones that are the most frustrated. Really try to see them. I have to see them in children who scream in my face. And I still, oh, look at you, Buddha. There you are. Because if you start forgetting to see the Buddha in everyone, then you'll forget to see the Buddha in yourself. stretching.どう上下。 Joy. Wholeheartedly we beseech the favor of you, who manifested himself in this Saha world as the original disciple of superior practice, the great founder of Nichiren, the great Bodhisattva. The incense of precepts, meditation, and emancipation, wisdom, liberation, knowledge, and vision fills the 10 directions at this moment and always spreads everywhere. May this fragrance also in the following way spread everywhere, over myself and others, the fivefold body of the Dharma. Irisange. Please turn to page 5. Enkyoji. Invocation. Honor be to the great mandala, the perfect circle of all honorable ones revealed by our founder Nichiren Shonin. Honor be to the eternal Buddha Shakyamuni, our original teacher, the Lord of the Dharma, our great benefactor who attained enlightenment in the remotest past. Honor be to the Sutra of the Lotus Flower of the wonderful Dharma, the teaching of equality, the great wisdom, the one vehicle. Honor be to our founder, the great Bodhisattva Nichiren Shonin, dispatched by our original Buddha. Honor be to Enkyoji Inchi Shonin, the first overseas missionary. Honor be to the protective deities of the Dharma. We honor all of you. May you come to this consecrated place out of your compassion towards us. See us with the light of your wisdom and accept our offering of chanting the sutra and Namu. Please turn to page 9. Enkyoji, verses for opening the sutra. The most profound and wonderful teaching is presented in this sutra. This sutra is difficult to meet even once in thousands and millions of aeons. Now we have been able to see, hear, receive, and keep this sutra. May we understand the most excellent teaching of the Tathagata. The most excellent teaching of the great Vedas was very difficult for us to understand. We shall be able to approach enlightenment when we see, hear, or touch this sutra. Expounded is the Buddha's wisdom, expounded is the Buddha's truth. The letters composing the sutra of the Buddha's manifestation, just as perfume is taught by something wood nearby, so shall we be richly benefited by the sutra. Even when we are not aware of being so benefited, because the infinite merits are accumulated in the sutra, we can expiate our past transgressions, do good deeds, and attain Buddhahood by the merits of this sutra. It does not matter whether we are wise or not, or whether we believe the sutra or slander it. This sutra is the most wonderful and most excellent taught by the Buddhas of the past, present, and future. May we need to receive it, birth after birth, world after world. Today's Dokyo will be chapter 2, 16 and 21. Please turn to page 11. Enkyoji, Owen Mondai ni Iji Seizan Shoeizan Mayango ni Kigo Shari Hatsu Shobu Shige Kinken Muro Koji Nange Nange Isai Shobu Nange Shobu Yoshi Shoji Shara Musu Yoshi Yang Sen Mango Kyushin Shobu Shinjo Shobu Shinjo Kyusho Shinjo Shobu Mondo Jin Jin Ni Shobu Hoji Shobu Shin Nange Tabe Hatsu Goju Shobu Shirai Shuju Inen Shuju Hiyu Omen Gong Shobu Shu Ben Shinno Shujo Joji Shodan Shoji Shaka Yorai Hoben Shiken Haramitsu Kai Yuso Kai Hosen Shodai Shiken Kodai Shinnon Yuyo Suge Iyu Shoji Shenjo Ge Asu Sanai Shinyu Sai Choju Sai Shobu Hosai Osu Shodai no Shuju Sumesu Yosei Shoho Konji Yuram Tenta Shushin Kai Osu Shujo Konju Shujo Muren Nizo Ho Shushin Shoju Shishai Osu Shuju Musesu Shoji Shaka Kusho Shoju Sai Shikeyu Nange Shio Yogi Kusu Yokusu Tai no Yushin Shoji So Shoji Shoho Yose So Yose So Yose Tai Yose Iki Yose Sa Yose Ken Yose En Yose Enkyoji, Murai Juro, Hondai Juro, Jiga, Tobu, Zurai,
Shokyo, Shoko, Shuryo, Yarusen, Man, Tobu, Saya, Soki, Tosa, Sokyo, Meru, Shudo, Shuryo, Shoryo, Shuryo, Nirai, Shuryo, 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 Ben, Ben, Anji, Shuru, Shuryo, Shuryo, Shuryo,
lotus flower of the wonderful Dharma, chapter 21, the supernatural powers of the Tathagata. The Buddhas, the world saviors, have great supernatural powers.
They display their immeasurable supernatural powers in order to cause all living beings to rejoice. Of their tongues speaks the heaven above, innumerable rays of light are radiated from their bodies for those who are seeking the enlightenment of the Buddha. The Buddha to these things rarely to be seen. The sound of coughing of the Buddhas and the sound of their fingers dancing reverberate over the world of the 10 quarters and the round of those worlds within the distance. The Buddha joyfully display their immeasurable supernatural powers because the Bodhisattvas from underground how to keep this sutra after my extinction. Even if I pray for innumerable kalpas, the keeper of this sutra, to whom it is to be transmitted, I cannot praise him highly enough. His merits are as limitless as infinite, as boundless as the size of the worlds of the 10 quarters. Anyone who reads this sutra will be able to see me. He also will be able to see many treasures. Buddha, Buddhas of my replicas and the Bodhisattvas whom I have taught today. Anyone who reads this sutra will be able to cause me to rejoice. He also will be able to bring joy to the Buddhas of my replicas and also to many treasures. Buddha who once passed away, he also will be able to see the present, past, and future Buddhas of the world of the 10 quarters. Make offerings to them and cause them to rejoice. The Buddha sat at the place of enlightenment and obtained the hidden core. Anyone who reads this sutra will be able to obtain the same core. Anyone who reads this sutra will be able to expound the meanings of the teaching and the names and words of the sutra. Their eloquence will be as boundless and as unhindered as the wind in the sky. Anyone who understands why the Buddhas expound many sutras, who knows the position of the sutra in the series of sutras, and who expounds it after my extinction according to its true meaning, will be able to eliminate the darkness of the living beings of the world where he walks about just as the light of the sun and the moon eliminates all darkness. He will be able to cause innumerable bodhisattvas to dwell on the way of the one vehicle. Therefore, the man of wisdom who hears the benefits of these merits and keeps this sutra after my extinction will be able to attain the enlightenment of the Buddha.
Today's soul hymn, contemplation, before we chant the old Namu, is entitled Akiri Domo Gosho, or reading and chanting the old Namu in the latter age. Ai Ichirin was born in the village of Togo in the district of Nagasa, in the province of Awa in the year of Joel 1222, at the time of the Emperor Go Horikawa, the 85th Emperor of Japan. It was 2,171 years after the Buddha's nirvana. I went to Kyosumi Dera at the age of 12 in the first year of Tenpuku, 1233, at the time of Emperor Shijo, the 86th Emperor. I resided in Gozenbo's hall for my studies. I was ordained at the age of 18 in the first year of Enno, 1239. After that, I studied all the teachings of the Buddha's lifetime, as well as other Buddhist and non-Buddhist teachings without fail for 15 years. Unfortunately, at the age of 32 in the 5th year of Kensho, 1253, on March 28th, the ninbutsu is the cause for falling into the hell of incessant suffering. I wondered, what should I do? If I tell people, who will believe it? On the contrary, they will be offended. If I am afraid of the people and don't tell them, I will be an enemy of the Buddha Dharma and fall into the hell of incessant suffering myself. The sutra says that someone who spreads the Lotus Sutra in the latter age of degeneration will be the appearance of superior practice, bodhisattva. So someone who doesn't say anything will be the enemy of the Buddha Dharma. According to this sutra, everyone in the country of Japan will be Nichiren's enemy. Shakyamuni Buddha was reborn 8,000 times in the Saha world. When he was King Sibi, he sacrificed himself for the life of a dove. When he was Prince Sattva, he gave himself to the hungry tiger. When he was the Snow Mountain boy, he threw himself into the jaws of an ogre for the sake of half a phrase of the Dharma. When he was a lion called Firm Vow, the hunter killed him, and he did not begrudge the hunter. When he was the king of 1,000 deer, he allowed a hunter to kill him in order to save a pregnant deer. There is no place to hide in my life and limb within the 3,000 great thousandfold world. I vow that this merit be given to the believers of the Lotus Sutra among all sentient beings. Inspired by the teaching of, quote, we will not spare even our lives, I will cast away my life and spread the teaching of the Lotus Sutra to enable everyone in Japan to attain Buddhahood. If I say nothing because I am afraid of the ruler of these small islands, how could I avoid falling into hell and being condemned by King Yama? Now we will chant the old Daimoku, Namu Myoho Renge Kyo, and make offerings of incense to Buddha, Nichiren Shonin. difficulty of retaining the sutra from chapter 11, beholding the stupa of treasures. It is difficult to read this sutra.
I shall be glad to see anyone keeping it even for a moment. So will all the other Buddhas. He will be praised by all the Buddhas. He will be young and another realm and of endeavor. He should be considered to have already observed the precepts and practice of Buddha. He will quickly attain the unsurpassed enlightenment of the Buddha. Anyone who reads and recites this Sutta in the future is up to the mind. He shall be considered to have a state of purity and good. Anyone after my exception who understands the meaning of this Sutta will be out of the world of gods and men. Anyone who has found this Sutta even for a moment in this temple world should be honored with offerings by all gods and men.
Page 68, golden chain. I am a link in Lord Buddha's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I must keep my link bright and strong. I will try to be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will try to think pure and beautiful thoughts, to say pure and beautiful words, and to do pure and beautiful deeds, knowing that what I do now depends on happiness and misery. May every link in Lord Buddha's golden chain of love become bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Today's echo. Today at this temple, we humbly conduct this ceremony to extol the 779th in the year 2000, or the 795th anniversary of our founder's birthday. With this ceremony, we extend our heartfelt joy and praise. We most humbly consider that as the great sage, the world-honored one Shakyamuni expounded the Lotus Sutra. The emanation Buddhas gathered and many treasures Tathagata verified the teaching. The Buddha then stopped preaching the trace gate and opened the original gate to reveal the eternity of the Buddha's life. The Buddha transmitted the essence of the Lotus Sutra in order that it be propagated in the latter age of the Dharma. It was 2,171 years after the Buddha's parinirvana. On February 16, 1222, the child of the Bodhisattvas was born in the province of Awa, in the country of Japan, the wondrous land that has an affinity with the Lotus Sutra. In fulfillment of the Tathagata's prediction, that was our founder Nichiren Daigo Satsu, he was innately endowed with the fulfilled merit of an original disciple of the original Shakyamuni Buddha. However, to all appearances, he was an ordinary person who engaged in strenuous casual practice. He accepted the transmission from the eternal master with deep reverence and established a wondrous school to sow the seed of the wonderful Dharma. Out of his superior compassion, he patiently endured many hardships as he taught using the contrary method of presenting the final teaching first and the strict way of breaking and subduing delusions. With his very body, he exhaustively read all the sutras and teachings. The great traditional East Asian Buddhism sets the Buddha's parinirvana at 949 BCE. Teaching that he established was for the purpose of saving those who live in the latter age of degeneration. Shisei, the four great initiating vows. I will cause all living beings to cross the ocean of birth and death. If they have not yet done so, I will cause them to emancipate themselves from suffering. If they have not yet done so, I will cause them to have peace of mind. If they have not yet done so, I will cause them to attain nirvana. If they have not yet done so, Juji, with this body, until I attain Buddhahood, I shall uphold my faith in the Lotus Sutra. Namu 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 Shoeizan Venerable ones, remember us. Be where you like and come again out of your compassion towards us. Please place your hands in hope, Enkyoji, cosmic Namu. We will end as we began with silent meditation. This time, Jin Shingyo, silent meditation, to feel the sublime dharma of the old Daimoku and the preciousness of life. Thank you all very much. If we could quickly today take our picture, I've been getting emails asking why we haven't been taking pictures. So if everyone would mind, just real quick, I know people have to get out of here, but we have fans. They want to see us.
That's interesting.
For those of you at home that tuned in today, thank you very much for sharing Misha and Sean's birthday with us. We look forward to sharing with you in next year.
Yeah, we celebrated like last night in school, Friday.
Okay. These chairs moved. No sneaking away, Robin. No sneaking away. Now we gotta hurry. Now we gotta hurry. Wait.